welcome to chapel. You can go ahead and stand on up. You can start.
see it through to the end.
pray with me. Dear Lord, thank you for this day, God, and thank you for chapel and the time we get to come and sing together and worship you, Lord, and hear a message and worship you through your words, God. And I just ask that you be with Mr. Wilson as he presents this message and help us to be attentive and listen to what you have for us today. Amen.
So, I get the spectacular opportunity in introducing none other than the man, the myth, and the legend, Mr. G. Wilson.
All right, I think I'm on. And it is good to see you guys out here. Thank you, JC. Appreciate you doing that. And I do want to let you know that there are certain students that want shout-outs, okay? And following Mr. Mack's lead, I asked for $5 to do that. And Emma, thank you so much. Did you bring your tiara? Because I was going to wear it. But we have to do what we got to do. Anyway, thank you so much, guys. And again, JC, Emma, all of you, good to have the seniors up here. Praise and worship band. I absolutely love what you guys do. It's fantastic. And if we just take a minute and get into that music when it goes on, it's always a day well spent. Now, I get the privilege of doing chapel today. And most of you who have been here know I've always got a target that I have to abuse a little bit. And who might that be? I hadn't thought of that, but since you mention it, is Mr. Mack back here?
Yeah, he's over in the corner.
Oh, well, Mr. Mack, I do think you need to come up. He started this whole thing by abusing me some way, I'm not sure exactly what, but if I remember right, Mack, when you did your message on the gate, you had a picture of my door and a little snarky comment. Is that correct? That's correct. Okay. And with Mack, all right, he's from Michigan. I'm from Ohio. There's an Ohio firm that is like one of the top Fortune 10 companies. It's called White Castle. All right. And Mack has mugs. He has T-shirts. He has all kind of White Castle wear because he belongs to the White Castle Nation, and you can look that up if you don't believe me, all right? And Mack is a proud member. But I need to tell you a little quick story, all right? And this is a true story, Mr. Mowry. Would I lie? Of course not. Last year, I was doing duty after school back in the back corner here. And I watched Mr. Mack. He was parked in the back, and he's got that big net bag full of soccer balls. Am I telling you the truth? Okay. He's got the big net bag full of soccer balls, and I watch him throw it over the fence, and then I realize he's got to walk all the way around through the bell tower and to get the soccer balls so he can have soccer practice. And I actually, in a moment of weakness, I felt badly for him. I felt sorry for him. And I walked over and I said, Mack, if I can get you a key to this walk-in gate, would that be helpful? Yes. Is this accurate? Yes. Without any prompting from me at all, Mack immediately said, if you can get me a key, I'll eat a White Castle hamburger. Okay? Is this correct? That is true. Okay, Mack would not lie. So I decided how I was going to do this. I was going to approach this just like I normally would for somebody that needs a key. I got in touch with Mr. Whitlow, who's just an amazing man. You should thank him and all of the folks in the custodial and maintenance department for a job well done. And I just texted, or not texted, but I just sent an email to Mr. Whitlow and I said, hey, you know what, Mack could use a key. I kind of explained the situation. I decided I wasn't going to push at all. I just wanted to see what would happen. Sure enough, a few days later, he drops off a key in my office and said, okay, this is for Mack. Okay, so, true. You still have the key. Correct, you have the key. Let's see the key. Before you have the key. White Castle hamburgers. So Mack, there are 6 White Castle hamburgers here. Well, no, you should. You should, for you and your family. And I think you will enjoy this evening. Anything to say?
Not a whole lot. That is the truth.
I don't think my wife's going to be real pumped about this. Valentine's.
You know what? I got a better idea. You do appreciate it? I wish I would have thought of this earlier. I wish you could eat one now. By chance, does anybody out here have a microwave? Anybody? Anybody have a Ray? Did you? Come on up, Ray. This is just amazing. This is just amazing. All right, now Mac, I just happen to have another box of White Castle hamburgers. Just happen to. All right? So what we're going to do, all right, we are going to put these 2 little White Castle hamburgers in the microwave. We're going to heat them up for Dr. Mac. All right? We'll do that for a minute. And one of the problems that you have with White Castle when you go to the store, it's not the same as going to the restaurant, by the way, which is an Ohio firm, not a Michigan firm. All right? So they don't include the pickle. Pickles don't freeze well. So we have pickles. And Ray, if you will help dress the burgers with pickles, okay, we're going to be in good shape. Now, Mac, how many burgers? 6. And it's, what is today? Valentine's Day. The 2 boys, one of which, if I remember correctly, actually asked for a White Castle hamburger and you rejected him. Okay? Okay? He denies his son. There is enough for Mac to take a nice frozen pack home for your family, because White Castle, you spell it L-O-V-E, okay? And how are we doing there, Ray? I think we're just about finished, all right? And I just heard it pop too, so, uh-oh. That's good. I think he's ready. If you will open that, dress it with a pickle, you can have the other one.
Oh, no.
That, correct. The deal was just to eat one, all right? Guys, you can't make this stuff up. I did nothing but bought the White Castles, okay? Look at that. It's a square burger. Too bad we don't want to have one of those camera things. Just one pickle, just one, all right? We'll give them 2 because they're small, all right? All right, Mr. Mac. We do have the video running. Gotta eat that.
That four.
You want sound effects? Go ahead. He's still standing. It's not good. All right, Mac. Thank you for being a good sport. You can have both boxes. You put those in the freezer. Where's Mr. Kyle? Could I have Mr. Kyle give me a hand? What? Come and get it. Not supposed to eat in chat. All right. In all seriousness, what I'd like to do, and thank you, Kyle, for your help, I do want to, let's put our game faces on, because I think we can have some fun today, but I want to get to some points that are kind of important. And happy Valentine's Day to everyone. And be sure to make sure that your moms and dads know that. Today, we are going to be talking about 2 components usually associated with building. And we're going to be talking about bricks, and we're going to be talking about windows. Perfect. That works. All right? Not bricks and mortar, bricks and windows. Where are we going with this? Stay tuned, because I think we're going to get to this point. I always like to tell you my objectives before we start. And the objective is to answer the question, am I a brick or am I a window? What am I? Stay with me, because again, I think this will make sense. We are going to deal with 4 definitions today. All right, and before I go, I'm going to add a couple definitions. I want you to know that this message today is not a salvation message. This is a discipling message. Anybody know what the difference between the 2? We are not an evangelical school. We are a discipling school. That's our model. What does that mean? An evangelical school is a school that will take people hoping and praying that they will find the Lord in the course of the time they spend at that school. All right? A discipling model is one where we disciple or train us to be better Christians because we've already made that decision. All right? So the message is not a salvation message. It's not an evangelistic message. It is a message of discipling. What we're trying to do. It's like last year when I spoke to you, we talked about raising the bar. We're trying to have a better Christian walk. Now, there are many of us sitting in these seats that have never made the decision. You can listen in. All right? And, well, how does that happen? Well, you know what? In the interviewing process, you know, if I'm really honest with you, some of us have been coached through. Some of us cut and paste our salvation message on the written portion of the application. We know this stuff. Only reason I'm saying this is because you are free to listen in. But this is a discipling message rather than a salvation message, but I think it will be beneficial to you. 4 definitions that we're going to work from. I use Merriam-Webster. I like it because it's a secular source, and you're going to see why, and I'm going to explain why in just a few minutes. It's a secular source. It's not a spiritual dictionary. And some of these have nothing to do with spirituality, but I think you're going to see the tie-in before you're finished. We're going to define these 4 words with Merriam-Webster, but then we're going to define it from a practical standpoint as well. All right? And the first one is a brick. Now, this is according to Webster. A brick, this is 1A, a handy-sized unit of building or paving material, typically being rectangular, blah, 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 blah. A brick. It gives exact sizes, typically being, and this brick pretty much meets those sizes. Okay? That's a brick. A window, again, according to Merriam-Webster, right? A window is an opening, especially in the wall of a building, for admission of light and air. It's a window. So we've got the brick, we've got the window. Light. Now this is interesting. This is why I use Merriam-Webster. If you go down to the 5th definition in Merriam-Webster, a secular source, what I have and what you see on the screen is exactly what they say in the dictionary. Spiritual illumination. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. And that's John 1:5. Right? That is from Merriam-Webster. It's not me. I didn't tweak it. I literally cut and pasted that, and I cited my source. Okay? All right. Juxtaposition. It's a word we don't use a lot of, but before we're finished today, I think you're going to understand a little more about this word. Again, from Merriam. The act or an instance of placing 2 or more things side by side, often to compare or contrast. Juxtaposition. Once you understand how the word is used, you can use it. Miss Hampton, I'm sure you're back there someplace. I have a hard time seeing you with the lights. No, she's at a funeral right now. But you can use that word. It's a good word to use. Now let's shift over to the practical. These are my definitions of a brick. We've left the official definitions behind. A building or paving material originally made of moist clay that has been hardened by heat. It is convenient, inflexible, purposeful, structured, and specifically sized. There are lots of bricks for different things. That's a brick. We don't need to spend a lot of time on this stuff because you guys get it. All right? A window, an opening in a wall that allows light to penetrate. I know some of our teachers, when they are on the inside walls and they don't have any windows, and we do some restructuring in terms of room assignments in the summer, they are delighted to have a room where they have windows, where they have light. It just makes everybody feel a little better. All right? It's inviting. It is a conduit for accessibility and transparency. It allows the outside to come in and the inside to go out, and it can be open, as can my little sample window here. All right? Light. Now this, I didn't change at all from Webster. Webster's definition was too good. Biblical illumination exemplified in John 1:5. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. You guys with me so far? All right? So what is the light? We're going to get to juxtaposition in just a second. What is the light? All right? Now, we're starting to work outside of Miriam at this point, but again, stay with me because I think this will make sense as we get to the end. Then Jesus, coming from John 8:12, then Jesus again spoke to them, saying, I am the light of the world. He who follows me will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. It's pretty direct. It's pretty direct. All right? Juxtaposition, comparing and contrasting two or more things side by side, but it is often the contrast, not the comparison, the contrast that is more notable. All right? Now, I'm going to give you a picture of juxtaposition. Is Miss Pope up there? My favorite academic dean. All right. Miss Pope, you have to shout it out. Who is this young man?
I have no idea.
You have no idea?
Not at all.
Yes, you do. Anybody want to help her?
Bob Dylan.
Bob Dylan. All right. A little bit about Bob Dylan. The most recent Pulitzer Prize winner. Okay? Bob Dylan. Poet laureate. Amazing person. Changed the face of music in the 60s. You either like him or you detest him. I love Bob Dylan music. All right? Interestingly enough, Bob Dylan went through a time in the 70s where he got saved and produced an entire album that is absolutely stunning in terms of its real spiritual direction. Bob Dylan changed the course of music. Okay? He was a free thinker, a free spirit, and a powerful influence. Some good, and if I'm honest with you, some bad. All right? Juxtaposition. Bob Dylan in 1965 wrote and sang a song called Maggie's Farm. I love the song. It's rock and roll at its finest. Okay? But as you listen to the lyrics, there's a line in there, Maggie's Farm, his bedroom. He's talking about the father of the characters. There's 4 characters in there. His bedroom window is made out of bricks. And I thought to myself, way back, wow, there's a message here. If our bedroom window is made out of bricks, you can't see in and you can't see out. Okay? So juxtaposition. Bedroom windows are not normally made out of bricks. Walls are made out of bricks. Now, let's start to connect the dots. All right? Brick. What is a brick? It's the hardened, inflexible, purposeful, structured item. It is hard. It is unforgiving. All right? The reason it is used in construction is because unless there's a defect in the process of making the brick or laying the brick, it will last for literally hundreds of years. Go up to Colonial Williamsburg. There are a lot of reproduction homes there. There are also a lot of homes that have stood for a couple hundred years. And most of those, not all of those, most of those are made of brick. Brick has purpose. It has meaning. It has a function that it does. Right? Obviously, you know where I'm going next. The window. Here's our window. Right? This is our little sample window I got from my neighbor who is a contractor. It's to take around and show people what they're going to get. It's fully functional. It opens, it closes. I took the screen out. I don't want to mess with it. But that's a window. It allows light to come to and from a room. It is not made of bricks. It is made of glass, and this one is made of vinyl and what have you. All right? It is a window. Light, air, penetrate, a conduit, accessible, transparent, and open. Keywords, open. Okay? Let's continue. Light, I just condensed that down to Jesus. If we take what Merriam-Webster said, that's really what they're saying. If you buff all the stuff off of it and you get to what matters, it's Jesus is what the light is in that 5th definition of light. It's Jesus. Right? and juxtaposition, a contrast in us. A contrast in us. Now, pay attention. Not because my words are all that great, but this is the meat of what we're talking about. This is the key to this message today. And we are going to connect the dots and make sure we understand it. But the key is this: understanding the difference between the world that we live in and the spiritual world that we should live in. Those are two different things. And in just a second, I'm going to show you a picture here that I absolutely love. But I want to explain it to you, and I want you to hear it, and I want you to listen carefully to what I'm saying, because I don't want anybody to misunderstand what I'm saying. Okay? This picture is of our girls winning the state championship at Dinwiddie last year. Great job, girls. Great job. This picture in full color appeared on the front page of the sports section in the Virginian Pilot. All right? Fantastic picture. And it captures the moment of a lot of young ladies who have just achieved a significant goal and are very happy with what they've done. And that's what they should be doing. Okay? Everybody agree with me? Now, let's pretend, okay, that I'm picking up the Pilot and I don't know anything about GCA. I'm just reading the article, and GCA has just beat St. Margaret's for the state championship. Okay? And I see that picture. It's a neat picture. But listen to me carefully. Is there anything spiritual about this picture? Somebody? No. This is a picture. It's a picture of girls who have fought hard, earned their state championship, and they're doing what they are supposed to be doing, and that is they are celebrating. And in the world we celebrate, and that's okay. My wife and I have gone to the Kentucky Derby. Every year we go to the Indianapolis 500. This will be our 50th year in a row. You don't think I'm old? Okay? We do things, we celebrate, we have a great time. Many of us will go out tonight with our wives, boyfriends, whatever, and we will celebrate Valentine's Day. That's what we're supposed to do. There's nothing deeply spiritual about what we're going to do on Valentine's Day, but we're celebrating. These young ladies from this school, many of them sitting next to you, are celebrating as they should. But this is a worldly snapshot. Where are you going with this, Wilson? Where I'm going is the next picture. All right? That picture was not in the Pilot, but it captures the moment so perfectly. Where the girls invited St. Margaret's over, as they do everyone that they play, win or lose, and they pray together. Juxtaposition, the contrast. The world, nothing wrong with the picture, the first picture, understand me. The world and the spiritual. So, back to the question. Am I a brick or am I a window? I don't get it, Wilson. I don't get it. Help me out. Let's work with it. Ephesians 5, 8 and 9. For you were formerly darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Walk as children of the light, for the fruit of the light consists in all goodness and righteousness and truth. Whenever I get to that word righteousness, I usually paraphrase that by saying we don't understand that word in the English language. We have the righteous dude, okay? And that's our depth that we have. Righteousness isn't a deeply spiritual word either. If we had time to go to Merriam-Webster, what it's basically saying is right living. That's all that is. Righteousness. And if you're pursuing righteousness, you're pursuing right living. Nothing wrong with that. And it's hard to obtain. Jesus was the only one that obtained pure righteousness. All right? And one final time, am I a brick or am I a window? All right? Still not getting it. Is that noon? We've got a little bit of time. I want to work with you on a little bit about what I mean. Some of you clapped when I said, you know what? We should thank the folks in maintenance and the custodial staff. Every day when you come in, the bathrooms are clean, the floors have been swept, the windows have been washed, the heat is on. They do an exceptional job of taking care of the school and taking care of us. That's really what they're doing, is they're taking care of us. How many times do we go across the hall and say, hey guys, thank you for what you do? How many times do we pass Miss Tina in the hallway and say, hey, thanks so much. Thanks so much for making sure that the toilets are all nice and clean. Right? It's what they do. Miss Pope, all right? I cannot tell you how they labor on your behalf in student services. All of the ladies do. I'm probably embarrassing you and I don't mean to. But what I'm telling you is they work on your behalf. Seniors, they are working on your behalf, making sure that your grades have been submitted, the I's have been dotted, the T's have been crossed, and when you're ready to enter into your college or your workplace, whether it's an application that requires a letter of recommendation, whatever, those ladies have taken care of you. How about your teachers? Not all of them are home just sitting back, drinking a Coke, watching the Olympics. They have lesson plans to do. They have experiments to work on. They are working on our behalf, not just your behalf, our behalf. All of us. Those are some things that we can do to make a difference. Sometimes all of us, I'm not pointing fingers at you. What's the old expression? If I'm pointing a finger at you, there's three pointing back at me. The old expression about just taking time to recognize people and look different of the world. If we all look like the world, and we go out and we drink and we swear, we curse, we do all kind of things that we shouldn't be doing. All right, remember our little beer bottle analogy our speaker had a couple weeks ago? It's right on the mark. But if we want to look so much like the world that there's no difference, where is our testimony? The Bible says we are a peculiar people. Doesn't mean we're weird. It just means we stand out. We go back to last year's message about raising the bar. We raise the bar. How do we raise the bar? We don't cheat. We don't lie. We don't steal. That's your honor code. That's what you all signed for. That's what, as an administrative staff, we labored for almost 3 months to get the wording right on that honor code. Why? Because an employer and a school, if they know that you buy into that and you subscribe to that, you are more desirable than those who don't. And trust me, in this world, a lot of people don't subscribe to that. Raise the bar. What is the minimal standards and what can I do beyond that when you're in your place of employment someday? All right? It's not watching the clock and say, okay, I'm going from 8 to 4 and it just hit 4 and I'm out of here. If you know your custodial staff is backed up, can you help them empty the waste baskets? Wow. In my leadership class, we saw a video of a former CEO, right? And he was in China. They were making a factory, right? This guy's making lots of money, lots of money. And he's watching the Chinese lay the foundation for what will be his building in China. And he's watching them put the plumbing, the drainage plumbing in place. And he looked at it because he's an engineer. He goes, oh, something's wrong here. Because the plumbing was perfectly level. They were working hard with their levels, Ray. You know what I'm talking about here. Logan, you do too. They laid it perfectly flat. Oh, it's perfect. It's level. No. It's not going to drain. So what does he do? It's muddy. It's been raining. He takes off his shoes and socks. He gets down into the trench, and he explains to them what the rise should be. Every 3 feet, I think he said it's the height of a nickel, right? Because once they pour the concrete, they needed to make sure it drained, or they're going to have big problems forever with that building. He took off his shoes and socks, got in the mud. You don't think that got some attention? Servant leadership. As Christians, that's what we do. That's what we should do. Servant leadership. We've got an opportunity in a few months across the street with the crossings. It's kind of a retirement, big place, all right? You got a lot of elderly people that are going to be moving in there, all right? Elderly people love kids. Right across the street, we've got Greenbrier Christian Academy. This is going to be a springboard for service, right? I think it's Luke Conrad is already, Luke, where are you? You working on a library program for them? Or is it Luke Up? Luke Up, sorry. Luke is working on setting up a library for them. Can't do it yet because they don't have their occupancy certificate at this point. But Luca is working hard already. Community service, guys, let me tell you something. Community service needs to be diversified. If you're watching the financial page, the market is in turmoil right now. The investors that are not too terribly worried are the investors that have diversified their funds into various areas. So if something takes a hit, they're not going to be eating Cheerios for the rest of their life. We have to, the same way we have to diversify our service. The day is gone, folks, where we are working an athletic camp and we turn in our 96 hours for community service. By the way, seniors, make sure you get those 96 done. And again, it's the ladies up in student services that are tracking that for you. Service, servant leadership. Leaders serve. It's what they do. All right? So, let's close this thing out. Where did I get the idea for this message? 2 places. One was the Bob Dylan song, Maggie's Farm. All right? The second one is this little guy right here. It's a little aluminum sign. Years ago, my dad had these made up. These are over 50 years old. I have a few of them left. And my dad, if he makes it to May, he'll be 97. He's a pretty cool guy, all right? And his health is good. And my dad was a pastor all his life. I have shared with you all before that I went to college unsaved. I wasn't hypocritical about it. Gary, are you saved? Nope. I don't want the Lord messing up my life. I don't want God messing up my life. Don't want anything to do with that. So some of you, I get it. Come and talk to us. But Dad had these made up, a little cross on it, back in the 60s. Say, may the Lord bless you and make of thy life a lighted window. All right? What's a lighted window? We take the candle. All right? Fire. Probably shouldn't do that, but that's okay. A lighted window. It is opening, it is opened, it is inviting. It is allowing what is in to come out. It is inviting that is out to come in. Brick, hard, inflexible, hardened by fire. Some of us have hard hearts, guys. I'm just honest with you. I did. Until I was a freshman in college, into my freshman year. I had a hard heart, but I was cool. All right? I'd rather be spiritual than have a hard heart. And you can still be spiritual and be cool. There's the news flash. All right? So we have a lighted window. It's what we are to do. All right? And that's my message. Again, it's not a salvation message. It's a discipling message. This is a raise the bar. If you say you are a Christian, then let's show it and let's do something about it. Thank you. Love you guys, all of you. Thank you. We got a little time for some music, I think. Pardon me? Yeah, you can.
Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for the message that Mr. Wilson brought. I pray that we wouldn't just leave this auditorium and think that we're glad chapel's over and we can get on with our day. I pray that we would think back to what he talked about and try to think about, are we a brick or a window? Help us to understand truly where our hearts are at. In your name, amen. All right, you guys are dismissed.